Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest video. It's an installment in my Medieval America series where I travel all around the country covering all 48 states looking at medieval sites. And in this video, this episode, we look at Pennsylvania and we make 7 stops in the big state. We see a museum, a cathedral, a library, a mansion, and 2 castles. And one of these places inspired a project that I make and show you how to make, and we get a sneak peek at that project in this video. Alright, so I did a lot of driving in Pennsylvania, spent some time there, and I really love Pennsylvania. I lived there for a couple of years a long time ago. And I really appreciated this, getting some rain and getting some fog like you see here, because when we get out west in America, we're not going to see any rain or any fog. But our first stop here now is going to be at a place called the Anthracite Museum outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania. And anthracite, if you don't know, is a coal. And the museum is really pretty interesting because it really stresses the point that, you know, coal built America is one of the very important things that built America, you know, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. And you know, so it's really interesting, particularly to you if you're interested in blacksmithing. And they have a lot of stuff in there about the history of coal and the coal miners, which, you know, we don't realize now that, you know, they went through a lot. And let's take a look here. They even have a display of how a typical coal mining family lived, like that. See that? It's pretty fun. And I really enjoyed the museum. It's a really nice place. But the big thing about it is this little diorama right here. Now they have this diorama of a coal mine, a pitch mine, and I said, wow, you know, that's kind of interesting, the horizontal layout like that. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to make a project. I'm going to make a diorama like this, horizontally laid out. And so that's the project that we're going to do, that I talked about earlier in this video. And it even has a couple of different functions here. See, this is a model of pitch mining. See, yeah, it's really pretty interesting. And I said, gee, you know, I could make a diorama like this, and also it's good for tabletop gaming. So let's take a quick look at that project right there, and I call it the Anthracite Dungeon. So the next video coming up, I've already shot all the video and made the project, will be how to make the Anthracite Dungeon. Okay, just using some simple materials, and I make just a small one because I'm traveling. I can't make something big, but you can make this a pretty large dungeon, or a diorama, or both. Yeah, I use all my typical things, but here's a nice thing I do like about this dungeon is, take a look at this. I design it and I show you how to design it, so you can fold it up. You can even put little compartments in there to store your miniatures. So this is going to be a project coming up next, and it is also going to be a Monday giveaway. Alright, so that's it. After the Anthracite Dungeon, we move on to something called the Scranton Iron Furnaces, which were also critical, and these things are enormous. They don't work anymore, of course, but thousands of tons of iron went through these iron furnaces, and they were a critical part of, you know, steel in America, and in the making of the railroads. So really nice thing outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Okay, so next we head on to Milford, Pennsylvania to look at a castle called Gray Towers. And this is a beautiful little castle. It was built in 1886 by James and Mary Pinchot. And James Pinchot was a wallpaper merchant, and his wife was the daughter of one of New York's wealthiest real estate developers. So that's how they made their money to build the castle. And there actually is a lot of interesting history with this castle. It's tied very closely to the United States Forest Service. It's been donated, and now the federal government owns it. But James and Mary were very active in establishing, and particularly their son, in establishing the United States Forest Service. And one of the things I really love about this castle is it has a whole bunch of little, like, alcoves and cubby holes and walkways and little areas surrounding it that you can kind of walk around. It's very intimate. Even though it's a castle, all the outside spaces are very intimate. And I really like that. These little paths, these little buildings and stuff like that. And we're going to take a look at a little bit of that. But, I love this castle. It has a long history. And also some tragedy, too. But let's take a look here. See, now there's water pools and places to dine and places to barbecue. And so you can go underneath this like a gazebo. So when I build my castle, I'm going to be integrating some of this into it because I really like this. It caught me by surprise. I didn't expect to see this. You don't see this a lot when it comes to castles, but just this wonderful place where you can entertain guests and enjoy the evening or even enjoy the day, I guess, too. But it's almost like there was little hidden labyrinths and mazes of bushes and trees and rock walkways and stuff like that, and I really like that. So, I made some notes about this design and layout, and we're going to take a quick look down here. So this is Gray Towers. It's in Milford, Pennsylvania. See, they're currently working on it and redoing some work there. You see, there's an outbuilding. There's another one on the left. I'm not sure if we're going to swing the camera over to take a look. Right there. See it down there? Okay, our next stop will be Bryn Athyn in Pennsylvania to see the Bryn Athyn Cathedral. And I love this cathedral. It is legitimately Gothic in its architecture and design. The builders of it specifically modeled it after the Gothic architecture in Europe. The main building there is Gothic, and it was started in 1913 and for the most part finished in 1928. But the outer buildings, the north and south wings, are Romanesque in design. And the work on this cathedral continued right into the 1940s, including a lot of beautiful stained glass windows. And they got it all very much authentic, right down to little detail work, like we'll take a look at these doorknobs, these handles. See that? Just beautiful. And the thing that I probably love the most about this cathedral, other than the fact that it's Gothic, is that they didn't build it from architectural plans, they built it from models. So they built small models so then they could go ahead and build it, the larger version, out of stone. But it has a beautiful feel, and it almost, to me, feels like, what was that place in New York? The Cloisters in New York, and for good reason. But that's Bryn Athyn Cathedral in Bryn Athyn, Pennsylvania. And the grounds are beautiful. It's a really nice stop. It's a really nice stop. And the stonework. Look at all of this. And let's run just a little bit of video. We'll take a look at this before we move on to our next stop. Okay, so next we head to Doylestown, Pennsylvania to visit another castle. And this castle is called Fonthill Castle. It was built between 1908 and 1912 and by Henry Chapman Mercer, who is an archaeologist and a ceramic tile maker. And ceramic tile is how he made his money. It was very popular during the arts and crafts movement in America. But one thing I do love about this castle is that drive up we just watched with the trees lined up on each side, left and right. You drive down that. It's really, really, really pretty. I really, really like that. Maybe I will incorporate that into my castle. But there's the castle right there, and the carriage house is on the right. But an interesting castle, interesting place. It's a very eclectic building. It incorporates a bunch of different styles. I think it's Gothic, and it might even have some Romanesque and medieval styling to it. And the inside, of course, has lots of Moravian ceramic tiles. And if you don't know what those are, we're going to actually take a look, because the Moravian Pottery Works, where he manufactured his pottery and his tiles, is still in operation, and as a museum too, you can visit. There it is right there, see? And there you go, there's some example of the Moravian ceramic tiles. Really nice. I should have bought some. See the knights? Should have bought some. But let's take one more look at the castle there, called Fonthill Castle in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Just a few pics here, and then we'll move on to the next place. Okay, we're going to be finishing off this video by taking a quick look at two more buildings. This one here is the Braddock Carnegie Library in Braddock, Pennsylvania, which is way out west. We're on the other end of the state now. It was built by Andrew Carnegie in 1888 in an eclectic medieval style, and it was the first library that he built, one of many. But it's a beautiful old building. It is still a public library, which is wonderful. And we'll finish this video off with Boole Mansion in Sharon, Pennsylvania. And it was built by the Boole family, for the Boole family, by Frank Boole, who was an industrialist in iron and steel. He had the Sharon Iron Works and the Boole Steel Company. It is now the Boole Mansion Guest House and Spa. It's open to the public. It's been in operation for 20 years, and it's a very romantic retreat. So that's it. Beautiful building. And we're going to be moving on now, and this has been a video in my series of Medieval America videos. The next place we will visit will be Ohio, the state of Ohio, and you'll be surprised. And in Ohio, we also visit a blacksmith who makes something called a pineapple twist for us. I'm really looking forward to that. And right now we're looking at some footage of Zion National Park in Utah. So I've done a lot of traveling. I'm just catching up on the videos, but I thought you'd like to see that. I am journeying all across America, covering all 48 states, and you can journey with me by subscribing to my channel, checking out my website at stormthecastle.com. If you'd like to support me, I would very much appreciate it. I have Patreon, PayPal, and other ways you can help. Thank you.